So we actually have a number of lawsuits and other legal updates to talk about. First up, let's talk about why exactly did B&T just sue Surefire? So in a video from James Reeves, we actually get to see Carl Bruger sit down with James and talk a little bit about the lawsuit that is currently going down. Now, I have covered this in brief previously, but the Cliff Notes version is B&T made a A2 compatible flash hider mounting system, Surefire copied it, and they had an agreement basically not to fight over it. Well, according to B&T, Surefire went back on this, and now B&T is forced to defend themselves in court, is basically their side of the story. I'm curious to see what Surefire's defense will look like on this particular matter, but if patent and device and everything publication dates line up in B&T's favor, then B&T might very well have a slam dunk case against Surefire on these grounds. There's not a whole lot more information other than B&T's kind of side of things, which we've already kind of heard from the initial court filings, but I will try and keep you guys updated as things evolve and develop in this particular matter. Now, moving on to our next topic, lo and behold, Streamlight got peeved at Harbor Freight for their TLR1 knockoff. Surprise, surprise. So, short version of this is apparently that Harbor Freight, the weapon light that was basically just a one-for-one copy with slightly different engraving of the TLR1 Streamlight, Streamlight suing over it. Of course they are. Now, I don't have a whole lot of access to the actual documents, but I have seen some reporting indicating that part of the claims here are specifically around the aluminum ring that's part of the body, and that's a trademark element, which is kind of unusual to me. I mean, I get that all of Streamlight's lights have that, but I never really thought of it as anything other than either an aesthetic design choice or potentially some sort of like mechanical thing for like heat dissipation or something like that. Just kind of a weird note from this particular case. But it's been filed. I would imagine by now that that Harbor Freight does plan on having some sort of update or revision. The TLR1 knockoff that they've made has proven to be incredibly popular, especially at such a low price point compared to the standard competition. And I have also noted, I believe it's Arms List on X has been doing some public testing of it, and they seem pretty competitive and comparable to one another, at least from the posts that I've seen so far on X. So I don't know if Harbor Freight can make some quick tweaks and changes to the way that their weapon-mounted light looks. Maybe they can get it back on store shelves relatively quickly, and if they lose this particular lawsuit, still keep laughing all the way to the bank because they just ended up making way more money anyway because they're undercutting Streamlight for almost the exact same products. Maybe, who knows? Only time will tell on this particular thing. But, of course, it always has to end up in the courts, right? Anyway, for our next legal topic, we actually have some updates on the rare breed triggers lawsuits that have been filed. Rare Breed Triggers has been filing a ton of different lawsuits, and it's impressive just how many that they've been putting out so far. Stambuleth Law on YouTube has been covering a number of these court cases and has been going through some of the public documents that have been filed in this. And again, I have to say, this is exactly what I was worried that they would do. Just throw lawsuits at absolutely everyone and have the tacit approval with that ATF settlement to make that happen. If you want more comprehensive details on each individual case, as well as all of the different claims and things that have been made, I would recommend you check out Stambuleth Law on YouTube. Look at his coverage because he has been following this much more closely than I've been able to. But again, it seems like rare breed triggers are doing exactly what I was afraid that they would do. And it is kind of a shame as well, because if you look at John from Gun.Deal's recent coverage of the rare breed triggers, it seems that they do have a pretty decent product on their hands, and something that is reliable and worthwhile considering if you do want a forced reset trigger that is pseudo duty ready. But on the other hand, Rarebreed is also throwing all of these lawsuits all over the place, so it's kind of hard to inherently support them as well. But let me know what your guys' thoughts are on all of these different lawsuits that have come out. What do you guys think? Yay, nay, do you support or are against any of the plaintiffs or defendants? Let me know in the comments section below, but let's move on to our next topic for today.